how does that change someone's attitude? If it changed one person's attitude, and all of a sudden that organization is all thinking the same way, which is, oh, we've got a problem, no factor. That is a part of the culture. The other thing, and this is the one that I said I was kind of just added this in my thoughts around culture and developing culture, is the language that you use. And I mean, I started throwing down some of these languages that I've used over the years, or that I've heard over the years. But you just mentioned hardcore recondo, no fucking slack. I started this thing off with, like, that was 2010. I wrote that email, like, no fucking slack's been a part of my gig for a whole long ass time. And the freaking land warfare guys gave me that shotgun. It says no fucking slack on it. But there you go. That's that language. And even Hackworth talks about it in the book. He's like, the guys, I knew they would think it was cheesy at first, but I knew over time it would start to sink in. And you're like, oh, okay. So, in Tasking a Bruiser, just BTF, and think about, what does that do to your culture? How does that change the culture of the organization, of the team, when you have something that everybody knows what it means, and it means something that's going to help the team? BTF, Big Tough Frogman. Can you say BTF and be like, well, I'm not sure if I want to do this hard work? Nope, doesn't work. Just BTF. So there's that. I was in a platoon where we said right and tight. It was a team too. Everything was right and tight. Like, hey, we need to be right and tight when we roll. We just said, we went crazy with this term, but guess what it did? All of a sudden, there was an underlying driving force that everyone wanted to be right and tight, and the platoon was right and tight. That's the way it was. Even just the language that you're using that isn't necessarily like a slogan or a mantra of any kind, but just the language that you're using, check, no factor. Like, no factor is not really a big slogan, but how does that change the organization? How many times has someone at Echelon front, there's been some situation going on and someone's like, no factor. Like, we got this. That's very common. So how does that change someone's attitude? And how does that change, if it changed one person's attitude, and all of a sudden that organization is all thinking the same way, which is, oh, we've got a problem, no factor. That is a part of the culture. My first platoon, always go out. And look, this wasn't necessarily the most positive thing, because what they meant was go out partying. I always tried to bend it to be like, always go out. On the op, there was no ops going on, so I was just full of shit. But the attitude of like, always go out, it affected me. I'd be like, hey, always go out. That's what we're doing. Okay, cool.
It took me a long time to realize that I didn't have to always go out when it came to partying on the town. I remember I came to that conclusion living over here in San Diego back in the day. I'm like, you know what? It's Friday night. I actually don't have to go out tonight.
It's not a mandate.
I'm not going to do that. Dude, I remember when we started working together in Tasking a Bruiser, and one of my good buddies from SEAL Team 5. I'd been at SEAL Team 5, so I'd spent 2 years there, my first combat deployment to Iraq, and done their workup, and then I shifted over to SEAL Team 3, and I remember him saying he was, he knew Seth Stone as well, so we're all hanging out together, and he came out and met me, you, and Seth out when we were in Tasking a Bruiser, and he was like, all you guys sound the same. All you guys sound the same. And that's what he was talking about. Yeah. We were saying no factor. Yeah. We were saying get after it. We were saying stand by to get some. We were saying we were all using the same language that everybody used in Tasking a Bruiser. And he was making the comment that, and really I think what it was is recognition of the influence that you had on me and on Seth Stone, that he knew well, both of us well. But everyone is talking like that, and everyone has this kind of same attitude. And I think that's a powerful culture when everyone's thinking the same way. We know what we're going to do, and we can make decisions about what we need to do. Oh, there's a challenge. There's an obstacle that comes up. Cool, no factor. We're going to figure out a way around that. We're going to figure out a way to get this problem solved so we can accomplish our mission. Oh, it's really hard? Cool, we're going to BTF. Oh, this is a really dangerous operation. We're taking some risk here. Cool, we're going to BTF. No one can go into that area no U.S. forces have been in there. Are you sure you want to go there? We're going to BTF. We're going to BTF in, big mix it up, BTF out, then go get some big chow.
Go criteria. You know, everyone else had no-go criteria. Like, if this happens, it's a no-go. If this happens, we had go because we're going.
Let me say one more thing about setting the example, and that is, you know, we were talking about this, and you said you weren't even thinking about it, you know, when you came out to go do a dive or pick up brass. But I think for leaders out there, when there's something hard that's going on, when there's something difficult, when people are having to stay late or work on the weekends, that is an opportunity. That's a softball that's getting pitched at you for you to just crack out of the park when you show up. Even though people know you don't have to, you show up, you're there with your team, you're setting the example. That is such a great way to build that culture by setting the example and build leadership capital with your team. Don't miss an opportunity like that. When there's something hard going on, sure, it's easy to stay in your bed or not come in early or stay late or miss watching your kids' soccer game on the weekend or whatever it may be. But if your people are there working, there's something hard going on, go get in there. Go set the example. It's such an awesome opportunity to be a part of the team and create that culture. And there's other people going to do that too. They're going to emulate that behavior if you do it as well.
No doubt about it.